This is Talk is Sheep, a podcast by the Wild Sheep Society of British Columbia. Come along as we take conversations that matter to you into the high alpine.
Mr. Rensmake.
Mr. Stelter, how's it going?
Good. Here we are, episode 110. And boy, we got lucky at Sheep Week. We had very cool lineup of guests, and none other than Glenda Groat was on this one. And pretty cool to connect with Glenda and talk about what's going on with Canol, what's going on in the territories, what's going on with Dall sheep. And yeah, she's just a force in the guide outfitting world, and it was really cool to catch up with her.
Yeah, it was great to finally have her on. She's such a supporter of what we do and of the society. So catch her in her busy schedule and got it on a podcast, especially down at Sheep Week, was awesome.
Yeah, really cool. It's a neat vibe down there, and it was fun with her too. Like you said, they've been a longtime supporter. Canol has been of the society. They've donated caribou hunts before, and just really good people over there and doing great things. Got a great reputation in the territories, and it was fun just to hear Glenda's journey on how she got to where she is, and a young woman that's just done great things in the outfitting world.
Yeah, and I've never heard anybody say anything bad about the outfit, and sounds like you just got to be ready when you get there, and she'll let you know if you're not ready. So
yeah, well said. Yeah, no, just a great chat with her. So I feel spoiled. We got to record those live recordings down in Reno. We'd like to do a lot more of that. COVID kind of put us in a weird world where we're doing everything remotely, but I've talked about that, and we're gonna have our recorder with us wherever we're on location. And obviously we have the Northern fundraiser in a few weeks, and then Kamloops a month later. So we'll be doing some live recordings there, and it's just a way better experience to sit across the table and have a really good conversation. Yeah,
I feel like you can feel that energy in those conversations. So it's nice to get that energy buzzing off the room, coming through when you're chatting. It just gives that nice vibe.
Yeah, very cool. So we mentioned the Northern. That's just a short week and a half away, and got a great lineup. We got Kevin Hurley as our keynote. Unfortunately, we're sold out, so you can't get any tickets there. Really thankful to Frontiersman Gear for supporting our Friday night kickoff party, and just it's going to be a great event, and just looking forward to get everyone back together. It's been a couple of years now, and everyone's just chomping the bit to get together and talk wild sheep.
Absolutely. Be good to be back in person up there, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And keep putting more money on the ground in Northern BC. And that's the one thing about it with our Northern fundraiser. We've done a lot of great work in the north of BC, our prescribed burns. The money that we raise in the north stays in the north, and that's pretty impactful for our Northern, supporters. They want to see that. And 7A and 7B need a lot of help up there. It's a big area. There's a lot of sheep, and they need a lot of support.
Definitely. Looking forward to that show and getting that one rocking.
Absolutely. So one thing we just wanted to throw out there for our listeners is last year we started our Wild Sheep Media Festival, and we have 4 categories: Photographer of the Year, Film of the Year, Writer of the Year, and Young Photographer of the Year. So basically, you just need to be a member. It's now open. We're taking entries. Head over to our website. It's wildsheepsociety.com/media festival. But you can send us our your entries at communications@wildsheepsociety.com. And so you get the prestige of any of those categories if you win. We got some epic judges. We got Darren Epp, Jeff Jackson, and Peter Gucci that do the photographer stuff. Film of the Year is the Filter Studio Boys, Jesse Bone and Tash Baycroft. And then Writer of the Year is judged through the Wild Sheep BC Communications Committee. And then, again, the Youth Photographer of the Year is Darren, Jeff, and Peter. So the only real criteria is you need to be a member. So make sure your membership's active, and if you are, send it in. We have excluded this year professional, so if your primary earning is as a photographer or a filmmaker, you're excluded. But if you're a semi-pro or whatever, it's not your day job, no problem. Send us your stuff, and you get the prestige. The winners gets their photo on the cover of our magazine. So you'll see Danny Coyne's picture was on the cover of the winter magazine that just dropped. I got mine yesterday. Have you got yours yet?
I haven't checked the mail this week, but should be there.
Yeah, cool. I just got mine, and Danny's photo, it's a beautiful ram. It's got his neck stretched up, and he's eating some pines, and it's absolutely stunning. So anyway, if you're interested, we'd love to see your stuff. So if you write, if you take pictures, if you do video, send them in. And the filmmaker of the year that from our media festival from last year was Grant Bowie, and Grant's film we're going to show that at the Northern this year. So anyway, get your name out there. And we give away some cool prizes thanks to our conservation partners. We give away a bunch of cool stuff, but really it's for bragging rights, right? So
100%. We blast you everywhere. Everyone's going to see you're number one. So some good stuff rolling in.
Awesome.
So good luck to everybody that's entering.
Cool. So before we head off to 110 here with Glenda, just a reminder that our raffles are still going. There's a few tickets left for our Jurassic rifle raffle and our Vortex Optics raffle and the Sitka Gear Package raffle. We're drawing those at the Northern Fundraise on the Saturday night, so a week to go there, less than a week. And then, but we have all our wild sheep raffles. They're selling quick. We're 50% sold out on a number of them, and quite often these do sell out. There's a cool desert sheep hunt with Sierra El Alamo award-winning outfitter there, and a whole bunch of other cool stuff. So get those tickets before they're gone. And again, Greg, as we talk about all the time, $1.18 million in conservation work on the ground over the last 4 years. So, it's nice to win something, but you're also supporting a good cause and making a difference for wild sheep in BC.
Yeah, we also have the membership drive going on right now as well for life members.
Oh, yeah.
Keep forgetting about that one, the custom branded WSF rifle. It's a gorgeous piece of equipment. We got to see it down in Reno, so get your life membership, level up.
Yeah, that's a cool one because you don't need to do anything. If you're a life member of the Wild Sheep Society BC, your name is already in. You're automatically entered. If you're a monarch, you get extra chances. So you don't need to do anything. But if you want extra chances or you want in on it, you need to buy a life membership or you need to buy upgrade to monarch. But you don't need, no purchase necessary. You're already in if you're a life member. And then on top of it, we're going to draw our life member breakfast in Kamloops on the Saturday morning, and we got a great event planned for you there. And you get extra chances if you're at that show. So if you really want to maximize, get as many, be a life member, be a monarch member, and show up to Kamloops, and you'll get as many chances. But if you're an existing life member and you're sitting at home on Saturday of our life member breakfast, your name's still going to be in there, and you could win just as easily as anyone. Your odds just aren't as good. So really, really cool membership promotion, and man, that's a sweet rifle. I think it's valued at like $5,500 US, so it's like a $7,000 package. It's got a Leopold scope on it. It's a Wild Sheep Foundation limited edition Mark V Weatherby chassis, carbon barrel. This one's chambered in 6.5 RPM, so just a beautiful setup. So yeah, but I think if my name comes out of there, I'm gonna have to donate that thing back because nobody will let me walk out of the room alive, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Cool. Anything we're missing? We got it covered?
I think we got it covered, and we've been talking too long, so here we go. Episode 110.
Awesome. Episode 110, absolutely, like you said. And we've got something special coming down the pipe podcast-wise. We're just going to throw a teaser out there that something you've never heard before is coming very soon. So got a really cool episode coming up on after this one. But you're going to love this chat with Glenda Groat from Canol Outfitters. Enjoy.
Across Canada and throughout the world, if you come across a campfire in the woods, on a mountaintop, or next to a river, you'll find warm company and friendly people gathered around. Regardless of your lifestyle or place you call home, we invite you to learn more about what it means to be a hunter in the modern era. If you love the outdoors, care about where your food comes from, and are concerned for the future of wildlife and the environments that they need to survive, pull up a seat. We have a story to tell. Welcome to our campfire.
All right. Well, here we are, Sheep Week 2023, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We're absolutely honored to have you, Glenda.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, cool. So it's Sheep Week, and so you buzzing? Like for me, it's just like I'm just elevated. I'm pumped at Sheep Week. And what's it like for you? I know you're in the industry, you do this stuff all the time, but when you come to Sheep Week, what's it like?
Like this year, like leading up to it, it wasn't really like didn't have that excitement leading up to it. And then as soon as I got here, it's like the whole crowd, it's like elevates you, and like you get so excited, and it's like all the people that you see, you know, year after year, and it's like becomes like a little family here instead of just, you know, like the big shows. It's like it's just faces in a crowd kind of, and here it's like just, you know, like going to your hometown bar kind of thing once a year. So it's pretty cool to be here every year.
It truly is. It's like a family, and I'm sure for the guide outfitting community, it's even more so, right? Because you know, you guys connect throughout the year so many times, and I know for me, like, you know, being in the sheep world, you know, it's there's that excitement, but I think as a guide outfitter, there's so much energy too through that, because you guys, the sheep family is a family. And then the guide outfitting sheep family is a tighter knit family too, right?
So. Yeah, absolutely. And there's, you know, our seasons overlap, and, you know, you're traveling up and down the road, and you're busy and all this with outfitting. And so this is like the one time a year that all us sheep outfitters like are in the same place at the same time, you know, like even as far as like our yearly meetings and stuff, like I'm in the Northwest Territories, but my friends are in BC or Alberta, or, you know, and so here it's everybody all together that you get to see.
Awesome. Okay, I want to talk more about Sheep Week in a minute, but before we jump into it, let's, for our guests, and I know that you're no stranger to the podcast, you know, you've been on lots, and so people know a little bit about you, but for some of our guests that don't know, let's just learn a little bit about who Glenda Groat is, talk a little bit about Canol, and just a little bit about the business and about yourself, and how the heck that you're running this multi-million-dollar outfitting business, because I think that's so cool, and I've got so much respect for what you do. So
thank you. Yeah, I grew up with my family being into it. Like my dad guided, my mom cooked. So when I was really little, I was in camp, and then as a summer job, was in hunting camps, and then I went to college, you know, did all that, and then I came back to the mountains because that's truly where I feel at home. So I had been guiding. I guided in the Yukon, in BC, in the Northwest Territories, and then after I had kids, it just changes everything. You can't be, you know, a full-time guide and a mom at the same time, right? So I was guiding a hunt here or there in the Yukon, and then this opportunity came up where the Indigenous people from the Sawtoo bought this area, and they offered me this job. They were looking for an outfitter. My name got brought up, and it just worked out. It was meant to be, and I am so grateful for this opportunity to run this company and be able to do what I love and share that with my husband and my kids, and just share my passion of sheep hunting and being in the outdoors, not just hunting, with, you know, both my family and all of the people that come through our camp, right?
Right.
That's what I live for.
Awesome. So, you know, it's interesting, you know, when we talk about a generation ago, you talked about your mom, she was camp cook, and it's like, no, now you're running the business. And, you know, there's been a transition where, you know, if you look back 50 years, how many, you know, female guides were there? Not a lot. I'm not saying there weren't any. There were some, but there weren't a lot. Very few, you know, women that ran an outfit on their own. You know, kind of, you know, like quite often it was a family, or, you know, kind of, you know, the man was taking care of it and the wife was part of it. She was as big a part of it as he was, but, you know, he was running the operation. Maybe she was the cook, but now that's not the case with Canol. You're running that place. You know, has it changed for women? And, you know, through Women Hunt, through the Great Wild Sheep Foundation program, Women Hunt, Wild Sheep BC's got a Women Shaping Conservation. You know, there's lots of opportunity, but I've really seen a transition. And what's it like for someone like yourself that maybe in your mom's generation you might have been just cooking, but now you're running the whole thing?
Yeah.
So what's that like?
So I started out cooking too, right? And I am old enough that I have definitely seen the transition through my years of being in the industry. And, you know, like right when I very first started and I went guiding, there was a lady who cooked, and she said to my mom, she said, why don't you tell Glenda she can't guide? And my mom's like, because she can guide, like I'm so thankful for my parents just being like supportive of that, and that my passion was more being outside and being with the guides out hunting and stuff like that than being in the kitchen. And like now as an outfitter, I go back to this year, I ended up cooking most of the season because that's what needed to be done. And so I'm truly so thankful for all of that knowledge as well as the guiding stuff and getting into that. And I think like, as a woman, that balance of like the feminine side and the masculine side of like being able to do both is, it's a nice thing. So I lived through that transition of where you were supposed to be in the kitchen and doing that stuff to the other. And I had, there was like female guides that I knew that were older than me, prior to getting into guiding that like, you did see them a little bit. Like I think because of my life position and what I was in, I did see it a little bit, these strong women that were out there doing it. And I think a major transition in this has been social media and the internet. Like those women who were doing it prior to, like me and some of my friends who are here, they didn't get the recognition because you're just out hunting, and they didn't need the recognition. And like now it's transitioned so much into like social media and online that people are seeing those women's faces. There always was women doing this, and there always was women passionate about this, but as the internet grows, that's what is making it so much more out there. And then it's making it okay for more women to be out there. Like I had a lady say to me the other day, like, oh, I had to hide this from my husband or whatever, like emotion that they were having. And I'm like, you don't have to hide that anymore. Like for women, we don't have to be in the kitchen. We don't have to be hiding stuff anymore. It's like, women as a whole are just coming out of their shells, and I think the internet is a huge part of that. And so for me, that's the real big transition, is the internet and broadening everybody's like perspectives of what women actually are and want to be and can be.
Well, and did you ever yourself experience scenarios where you had someone come in and say, oh, I don't want to hunt with a girl? Or did you ever, it's interesting. You said your mom's friend said, well, have you ever told her that she can't guide? Like, and, so close to home, like people you love and care about, because of that the stereotype, I guess, at the time. But have you ever had that where, as a guide when you were starting out, that, I can't hunt with a girl, or I don't want to hunt with a girl?
Yeah, I did have that. And one of the outfitters I worked for even would like, I didn't know this at the time. Like he never like, I didn't feel he ever judged me or anything for being a woman, but he would like take clients aside and be like, I'm going to put you with the girl. Is that okay? And like most of them said yes, I think. I don't know of the ones that said no, right? So he was aware of what that was. More than me. I was probably just like a young, dumb blonde, like everything going over my head that people wouldn't like me, right? Like, or people wouldn't want to hunt with me. I just was out there hunting because that's what I like to do. Like I have always like grown up just thinking of myself as one of the boys, I never felt I was different. So, this question about, like you just asked me, I just never felt I was anything different, right? Like in that sense, when I was growing up and through that, I just was like, I'm one of the boys. I'm just out here hunting. We're all doing what we like, and that's what it is. So it never occurred to me that people didn't want a woman around, like. Right.
Well, and it's so cool now, like you said, with the internet and social media, because you see these accomplished guides like, the Rachels, the Glendas of the world, the Tanis's, and you're like, they're killing a ton of stuff, and people want to hunt with them now, right? Because they are, they're a woman, but they're one of the most respected guides around, right? People are coveting those spots because they're killing some big animals. They're doing a great job, and I think it's really cool to see that transition. So interesting that I never thought that this social media would play such a big part in that role. So
Yeah, I truly feel that it did. Yeah.
So do you feel like, has it gone far enough? Because if you go to Hollywood, you're like, oh, as a female, we're still being discriminated against because the leading male guy gets 20 million and we only get 10 or whatever. Is it an equal playing field in the industry now? Is it where it needs to be? And I know that's a tough question for you because, like you said, I don't look at myself as a woman. I look at myself as a guide or an outfitter, right?
Yeah.
I don't look at, but is it easy for a young lady to get involved in the guide outfitting industry? Easier.
That one's a really hard one for me to answer because I would love to hire another female guide. Like, I have had female guides work for me and they outworked the men so many times, right? Yeah. And my Shay Tompkins, she was working for me and then she just got married. So, they go through that transition where they get married and then they're not available full time anymore or whatever. So I've been there. I completely understand that. But I would love to have another female come and do that. And there's been like a couple young girls like over the years that have came and worked for me. And I definitely am hard on them because I have high expectations because I want them to do good though, right? Like, it's not out of meanness ever that I want to be hard on them. But I'm like, when you come into the industry, it's like you don't want to be favored because you're a girl, or coddled because you're a female. It's you want to be out there hunting, doing everything, and not be like, oh, well, she's the girl, so she needs help or anything like that, right? So I don't know a ton of young girls that are getting into it with other outfitters, but like speaking from my own outfit and that, I would love to see more women coming up through, the ranks and learning from the start and the work that it takes and just being out here all enjoying what we do. Like, I think the more females are coming hunting on these trips than previously what used to come. And I think having female guides offers a truly unique experience of two women being out on the mountain together without your husband or your dad or, a lot of times it is a male figure who introduced these women into the hunting industry. And that experience of being like two women out on the mountain and doing an extreme mountain hunt is very empowering for women to be able to do it without a man as well. And I see like emotional changes in women when they are able to do that. So I think it's like a truly unique thing that you can offer in having female guides. And I hope that outfitters are being fair to females.
Right.
And I think, from what I see, I'm very welcome in this. I don't get a cold shoulder because I'm the female outfitter or that. Like, I still feel like I'm just one of the guys. And I think that, the outfitters, the younger outfitters, not that the old ones were the ones who hired me. So I'm not saying anything against that. But, we are seeing right now in the whole industry a big transition of, that older generation getting out of it and lots of younger outfitters coming in. And those same ages of people grew up, went through that same transition that I went through where everybody's just people,
right?
We're all just out here enjoying what we enjoy together, you know? So I think it's a fair playing field.
Well, and it's interesting, case in point with yourself, like, you said, the older outfitters typically, it was a male dominated industry. But we look at you, a young woman that, you're running a multi-million-dollar guide operation, female, and so that's different, right? It wasn't like that 30, 40 years ago as a general rule, right?
Yeah.
So, definitely the face of the industry has changed a little bit for sure, and it's pretty cool to see the diversity.
Yeah.
So what does it look like 20, 30 years from now? Is the industry changing? I know, and we can get into a whole bunch of stuff with that, right? There are a lot of changes that we've seen, but what are the biggest changes you've seen over the last 10 years in the industry? Is it? It's a tough one, right? So,
one of the big changes that I've seen is when I very first started guiding, the ages of the hunters were much older that were coming. And I feel like through the years, like younger and younger hunters are able to come. Like I feel like people are financially able at a younger age to be able to afford these hunts than previous.
Right.
That's one of the big things, that the whole age of, used to be more like the old boys club,
right?
And so the whole age and everything is changing of the clients that everybody's getting.
Well, and it's interesting, we've seen a 13-year-old Cammie Cunningham, 13 years old, she had her fanaz, right? And there was a young lady out of Alberta that I think she was 11 years old and she shot a bighorn. It's pretty phenomenal, like these young ladies at 11, 12, 13 years old that are harvesting these sheep.
Yeah, I seen a young girl out of Alaska too. Like, it's awesome. It's so awesome to see.
Yeah, very cool. So let's on the topic of sheep hunting. So it was last year at Sheep Week, I think it was, and that's the cool thing about Sheep Week. It's that our family, we get to see each other. And I was on the bus from here over and you had your phone out and you had a picture of a ram, and I heard you telling a story about, I think it was your first ram, right?
Yeah.
So I want to hear about that because it's such a unique story. I heard it second. You were showing someone else on the bus, and hey, Glenda, tell me that story and let me see that ram.
Yeah.
And you killed a beautiful ram. Tell me the story.
Yeah. So it was in our area near the end of the season, and all my sheep hunters had tagged out already, and I had gotten a sheep tag the previous year, and I didn't actually think that I would have time to hunt because outfitting and my clients always come first. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get another sheep tag, and if it works out, it works out. If not, it not. And so we were out actually putting out some moose hunters and stuff, and I was along, and the cook was with me, and she had never seen sheep before, and so she's like, do you think we could look for some sheep before we go back? And so I was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, oh, there's 15 over there, thinking they're using lambs. And then we get looking at them, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's a really nice ram. And all my sheep hunters are tagged out, and I probably have 3 days here or something that I could go chase this ram. I got a tag, so I put my hunters out, and then me and my son and the cook went back, and this is the cook who had never seen a Dall sheep before.
Wow.
This, and so we went back, and we spent the night, and I was we hunted this ram, and we went up, we climbed way up, we got above them, and we're coming down, and we start seeing all these rams. And my son on the way up, he was getting tired, but
How old is he?
He was 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Wow.
So he was getting tired, but he's so into it, right? He really, that's what he plays all the time, everything like that. So before we left, my husband had reminded me to be patient with him because he is only 8 years old. So having him with me was such a benefit, and I think, it added to the specialness of it, and I think it took my mind off of being stressed out and actually being worried about the hunt, because I was worried about him, getting him up the mountain and over to the sheep, right? And as we're coming down, we see 4 rams over here, and I go through them all, and I'm like, nope, not him, he's not in there, right? And I age them all, and I'm like, okay. So we go a little bit farther, and then it's 11 rams, and I'm like, okay, well, I only seen 15 rams when I seen before, but I go over them. He's not there. And I'm like, okay, maybe he left in the night. I don't know. Typical sheep hunting story, right? And so we keep coming, and I would like leave them back a little ways and like come a little bit closer and then get them to come up with me, and all of a sudden there this ram was 50 yards from me, and my son was like 100 yards from the ram, and it was, you know, like perfect sheep hunt. It went amazing, and him getting to be there, and that was his first sheep that he had ever been on, and to me that was the most special part about it, you know, like beyond what the sheep looked like or anything like that, is he walks up to it and he's like, well, Mom, it's not the biggest sheep we killed all fall, but it's old, so that's good. I'm like, well, we're raising him right, I guess.
That is awesome. So what does it do to someone like that, an 8-year-old, to experience that and to, you know, it's so challenging to be on a sheep hunt anyway and to be successful, to watch your mom harvest a sheep? What is he chomping at the bit to get his license or guide, or what is?
Oh yeah, he's counting down the days till he turns 10 and can legally like shoot a deer or shoot anything in BC. But he's like, you know, his goals are really high because he's like, you know, a sheep, a caribou, a bison. I'm like, most deer or most young kids are like start out with a deer, and I'm like, these are high standards, kid. Like, I don't know if you know, like you might just be spoiled a little bit that you think you're gonna shoot like a caribou or a sheep for your first animal, right? So
cool. So now with your kids, and let's talk a little bit about. Well, we should probably talk more about the sheep hunt actually. So. I hope we use the cover photo for the cover photo for the podcast. Can we use that picture of that sheep? Because that picture of your ram and it was just beautiful. So it's so gorgeous.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. I'm being selfish here asking for that now, but so you know you've guided so many people over the years to successful sheep hunts, and you know quite often I'll talk to guides, and a lot of them have never killed a sheep themselves, right? You were one of them until a couple years ago, and then. But a lot of them, and I don't know what this is like. I take friends and I mentor people. Never, I guess, really on a sheep hunt. But you know, it's special for sure. But how is it for you killing your first ram as opposed to being on it? You know, and experiencing that with. Is it different? Is it better? Is it worse? Is it the same? Do you want to go and kill another one? What is it like as a from your perspective as a guide and now outfitter?
This is probably going to be the unpopular opinion, but being on so many sheep hunts prior to getting my own sheep, I think if my son hadn't been with me, I wouldn't even have shot that sheep. To me, it is being out there, and the part that I truly love about guiding and outfitting is being able to do that for somebody else and watch them achieve their dream. And like I could get emotional even talking about it because I've seen so many grown men shoot their sheep and cry on the mountain, and that's it for me. It's not me actually pulling the trigger. Absolutely does not matter to me. It's about the full experience of being out there, and every sheep that I've ever guided, that's my sheep too, like it's me and that person went out, we worked our butts off, and we got that sheep together, right? So to me, absolutely doesn't matter. If I never shot another sheep, I would be totally fine with that. But you can bet your ass I'm going to keep sheep hunting, and I am going to continue to take as many people as I can sheep hunting and help them to achieve that, because that's it for me.
Awesome. Yeah, very cool. And I hear that so often now when I talk to guides. There's just that mentality. To them, it's just as special. And I don't ever need to kill anything, right? I just happy to be on it. And Nolan Osborne, a good friend, and I'm like, are you ever going to go shoot? Because I don't need to, man.
Yeah, you don't care. You honestly don't care. It's like when that other person shoots it, it's like, that's it. That's what you're there for. And I've got to go on so many sheep hunts and experience so many of it. And to me, it's like if I was always pulling the trigger, I wouldn't have gone on that many hunts, So it doesn't matter to me. Like it's more special for me being able to see other people achieve that than like the goal for me isn't pulling that trigger.
Right. Awesome. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about being Is there a little emotion there? You said you were going to cry, and you're not disappointed, which is great. No,
it's all good.
And that's why you're so passionate, so good at what you do, because you are so passionate, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely the emotional outfitter. Like, that's the thing. I like tell all my guides, I'm like, okay, so at the start of the season, we're probably going to cry on occasion, and if we get in a fight, we're going to hug it out, okay?
That's awesome. That's a pretty good attitude to have, I think. So, yeah, cool. So how is it being, a working mom in the industry? So, like obviously the guide outfitting industry, or the hunting industry, hunting season, it isn't doesn't align with school and a whole bunch of stuff. So how does that work with a young family, and how are you able to manage that? And then of course, with Canol, you live in BC, but you're hunting in the territories. So let's talk a little bit about that and how you can manage all that.
So I am so thankful for my parents. Truly, if I didn't have my parents and my husband supporting me in this lifestyle, it would be really hard. This week, right now, my husband's at home with the kids, and then he's going to come down tomorrow, cool. My mom's going to be with the kids for a couple days. And right from the very start of having kids, like when my son was 5 months old, I went and guided a hunt in the Yukon, and I was gone for 2 weeks. And my mom took my 5-month-old son for 2 weeks so I could go and guide. And I don't know a lot of moms who would be that supportive, but I am very thankful for my mom that she is that supportive, because she knew and does know what feeds me. Right. And what makes me a better person, and it truly makes me a better mother. Still following my passions and my dreams, and being able to show my kids that keep following your passions. It doesn't matter. You can get married, you can have kids, and you can still follow your passions. You don't need to have one or the other, right? And I'm very, very fortunate of the scenario that I am in, and I don't take that for granted. But just the fact of when my son was 5 months old, I went back guiding, and then I had my son and my daughter, and my mom kept them for a month so I could guide for a month. And they were 1 and 2. They're close together. They're that's a big task for my mom and dad to have taken them for a month so that I could go guiding and keep doing what I love, right? So having that supportive family is major, and I am truly so grateful for them all the time.
So absolutely, I totally appreciate where you're coming from, where it's tough for them, but it's tough for a new mom with a 1 and 2 year old at home. So how do you manage, and especially that first year when they're so young, the emotional attachment's never been stronger, and now you're away from them for that period of time.
Yeah.
How was that for you emotionally and trying to manage that?
So when I went and guided, those 2 years when they were really little, I guided in the Yukon, and I think I cried for the first 4 or 5 hours of the drive on the way up, right, leaving them. And then once I got to where I could see the mountains on the drive, I was felt at peace, right, because the mountains is where I feel at peace, and it's where I feel at home. I just feel the most myself when I'm in the mountains and that. So, yes, I missed them for sure. And I've guided for, when me and Glenn were very first together, I guided and he stayed at home. And so, I know you miss them. You do miss them, but at the same time, you're doing this for them as well, and sometimes you have to sit down and do the hard things. You have to push through, that and do the hard things, go through that hard experience to get, the big picture, right? To be able to keep doing what you love and what you want to do, right?
Well, and I have so much respect for you, because I've been on mountain hunts. I've been extreme mountain hunts, like a sheep hunt, and just mentally and emotionally, it's the hardest thing you do. You can say physically it's so hard, but it's just the mind, and just it's so hard. So just being on the mountain is difficult, and then coupled with the fact that you're a new mom with 2 kids at home, and to push through that. Did you ever break down on the mountain with a client and just like or were you able to keep it? Because there's times when you go through highs and lows on the mountain, right? There's times where you feel pretty good, and there's times you don't feel very good, right?
Yeah.
So you're able to manage all that okay?
In those years, yeah, I managed it okay. I had one instance like a couple years ago in 2020 where I like absolutely like broke down on the mountain, like crying with a client. And I was just so tired. It was in northern BC, and we were backpacking, and we had killed a goat, and, we're all happy about that. And then my hunter shot a caribou too. So we're backpacking, and we have a dead goat and a dead caribou that we have to backpack out over like 2 very high mountains to get back to where we need to go. And I was guiding for Dustin Rowe, and he was like, okay, Glenda, like, we'll come meet you like part way, right? And so I probably, like, if I had been doing it by myself, I would have just stopped sooner, and but I like pushed myself past the point of like being so tired, because I was like, I'm not just going to sit down and wait for them to meet me and save me, like going back to this women thing at the start, like
can't show weakness.
Can't show weakness, right? So I'm like, no, I'm going to keep going. So I'm like climbing this mountain, and I'm like, okay, I'm tired. Then I'm past that point. And like by the time I see them, I just like broke down, like crying, because I was so happy to see them coming to help me pack this like load out. And so I have broke down on the mountain for sure, but during that time I didn't with the kids. No.
Yeah, cool. So now with your season, how does it work? Like, when are you taking off, when you're flying out of or leaving home? And then when do you get back? Like, how long is that period?
We leave at the end of June each year, and then the clients start coming in on July 15th, and then we finish up at the end of September. So with the kids, they miss the first month of school, and they're still like, they're 7 and 8 right now.
Right.
So they haven't been at the ages where it really matters, missing that first bit of school. But we're going to keep doing that. Like, awesome. Really, they learn so much in the mountains, and we're not going to take that away from them for some book work, right?
Awesome. Yeah, good for you guys. Well, hats off to you that you're able to do that, and it's such a cool opportunity for them, right? Like, and something that and like here you are, you're talking about your youth and having done that. I think you did that with your dad, right? When you went into the mountains sometimes with him?
I didn't, actually. Okay. Yeah, so he had quit guiding like 20 years before I started guiding. It was like exactly 20 years in between the two. I wish I had got to spend more time like in the mountains with my dad. I definitely called him more than a few times from the mountain over the years, being like wanting his advice, like when I couldn't find stuff, and he talked me through lots of stuff and taught me lots, even though we've never been like on a mountain hunting together.
Is that right, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So yeah, that's awesome that you're able to do that with your kids, and such a great opportunity. And so many of these guide outfitting families, you hear about that, right? Like their kids grew up, we did a podcast with Rachel recently, and we all know her story. 10 years old, she was in with the Carries, right? With Auntie Wendy and stuff. So yeah, really neat for the opportunity for the kids. So, okay, so let's talk a little bit about Canol and about hunting in the territory. So, somebody wants to go on a hunt with you guys. What's different about Canol? Why is it special? And let's talk a little bit about where you guys hunt, and just get people to have a better understanding of what you guys do there.
Yeah, so we are in the Northwest Territories. We're the biggest area in the Northwest Territories. Our area is 11,000 square miles. I think what's truly special about the NWT as a whole is how remote it is. It's expensive, it's hard to get to, but it's so remote. Like, out of all the years, like, I've been in the Northwest Territories since 2010, and I've never been out hunting and ran into another hunter. Like, it just doesn't happen, right? Like, it's hard to access, and so that's unique. Whereas like BC, there's lots of residents as well. Like, you're likely going to see other people when you're out hunting, right? So I feel that's the real unique thing about the Northwest Territories. The populations are good. We have a helicopter that we put people out into locations to hunt. I think the true benefit of using a helicopter in our scenario, I don't feel a helicopter would be great if you let every province use a helicopter. I definitely wouldn't agree with that. But in our scenario, I think what works so well is being able to manage our area so well, because we can hunt every square inch of our area on any given hunt. Right. Like, we aren't trailing into one camp and then having to spread out from there. Like, we can absolutely hunt one end to the other on a hunt, and we don't have to hit the same place over and over again, which, I mean, there definitely is places that we hunt every year if the rams are there, they're old enough, stuff like that. But we just have such a wide range that we can hunt, and we can feasibly get everywhere so easy with that, that I think it makes the experiences up there pretty unique.
And I believe the Territories is the only place you can use a helicopter. You can't, Yukon,
yes.
you can't do it anywhere else in Canada either.
Yeah, no.
So it's a bit of a unique opportunity for someone that wants that experience to be able to do that.
Yeah.
How many rams do you guys take on average a year, sort of?
We take about 25 rams a year.
Okay.
We take lots of archery hunters. Probably from earlier in the conversation, talking about, like, for me, it being the experience out there. I like archery hunters, and I want my guides to like archery hunters, because it can be frustrating but challenging, and I think, that pushing yourself mentally, it just is taken to a whole nother level with archery hunting.
Right.
And so I really enjoy it, and I enjoy the time out there, whether you actually kill the sheep or not, spending that much time so close to the animals and learning about them and having to watch them, pattern them. That's just so unique to me that I hope everybody gets that experience and takes that time with the animals.
Right. And you don't yourself, you use a rifle. You don't hunt archery, do you?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Most people do. I'm the same. But
yeah.
So one thing I heard you say before, and we talk about, there's just not the pressure on the rams there too, right? So that's one of the experiences I've heard you talk about in the past about the uniqueness of the Territories, is that you miss a ram, you're probably going to get another chance on them, or you're going to find other rams that, whereas sometimes, you get your one shot and that's it, right?
Yeah.
So you talk a little bit about that for us?
Definitely is. As when I have new guides coming in, I tell them this, because that's what I learned from the outfitter that I worked previously, was like, if you bump them a little bit, just let them settle down and then go check if they're still there, because there just is so much less pressure on them that they don't react the same as like a stone sheep in BC, they might go over a mountain and you essentially let them calm back down and you get another chance at it lots of the time. Probably if I said that on a hunt, it might not happen, but knock on wood that it keeps happening, right?
Right. Cool. And so you guys have obviously Dall sheep, but what else can people hunt in your area? Yeah,
we have Dall sheep, moose, and caribou. They're Yukon Alaskan moose and mountain caribou. And I think the Mackenzie Mountains as a whole is really well known for their mountain caribou. Mm-hmm. We have pretty good population and some really nice caribou up there.
I've just seen giants come out of your area. It's awesome.
Yeah, we killed a really nice one this year. Did you see pictures of it?
I think I did, yeah.
It was just gnarly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. So what's your favorite? Like if you're, okay, let's say you're guiding and you had your choice of those three, what would you take a client on? It was up to you.
I am a sheep hunter, like nice. Through and through. I love sheep hunting. yeah, the harder it is, the more I kind of feed off it, like embrace the suck a little bit. But yeah, I'm a sheep hunter.
Cool. So on that note, is there anything in all your time of guiding in your own hunts, anything that, like a traumatic story that stands out, or anything that you're willing to share on the podcast with us, or a great story, or anything that really you can think back, like, oh wow, this, you think, like, if you're thinking back on an experience on the mountain, this is the one I thought about.
Oh,
Tough question.
Gosh,
I'm putting you on the spot.
This is such a tough question. So. I feel like, this was one you should be prepared for.
Yeah, I know. I should have given you the heads up on it, but we're pretty free-flowing with our podcast. So,
yeah,
but,
absolutely. No, it's good. That is a really tough one.
Well, and a lot of them probably they are some, but you don't want to share the story, or you're like, you can't reveal a person or whatever, right? It's like, oh, I can't tell that story. They'll know that I'm talking about them, right? So.
Oh yeah, no, I don't know. I have a lot of great memories, so it's hard to pick one that really stands out. I've just had so many great experiences with people that it's like, probably maybe one of the ones that was like.
You're like, can I tell this story or not?
Yeah, I don't know.
And I don't want to put you on the spot. You don't have to tell it if you don't want to. But, but if you want to, we'd love to hear it. We should have had whiskey at the booth. That's what we actually needed.
Yeah, this shouldn't be at 10:30 a.m. That's fair enough. If we did this at 5 o'clock, maybe there'd be some more stories ready to come out.
Yeah, well, I guarantee there would be. Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so for somebody that wants to come and hunt with you guys and they want to book a hunt, how do they get there? Because that's part of it, right? So, even to getting to the territories is not even easy. So it's hard to get on a sheep hunt, get there, let alone going on the sheep hunt itself. Yeah. So what's that experience like?
Yeah, so most people start looking at flights when they book with us, and they're like, how do I even get there? It doesn't even say Norman Wells, because you have to fly to Edmonton on whatever, Alberta, on any airline, and then there's only one airline that flies once a day in and out of Norman Wells, so it's like you can't get lost in that airport. But on Canadian North is the only airline that flies in and out of Norman Wells, so that's where we base out of, and all our hunters come in and out of, and And
then is it helicopter from there, or it depends?
No, they come in on a charter flight from there into our base camp, and then we put them with their guides and get them out on the mountain, usually that night. As soon as they get in there, they have a big day that day.
Okay.
Straight from Edmonton into Norman Wells by noon, out to our camp, and then out on the mountain on the same night. So
that's a big day, especially somebody coming from the lower 48 or something, right?
Yeah, well, we don't want them to have a bad sleep because they were too excited. So we really try and play them out first.
We're going to alleviate that issue. Just get them on the mountain.
Yeah.
Perfect. So now you guys are, I'm sure you're booked way out because of losing a couple years. What does it look like for bookings for you guys?
Yeah, our sheep hunts we're booking for 2026 right now. And our moose is 2024, and caribou is kind of the same.
Right, yeah.
Our caribou hunts are always like a floating number of how many we're going to take each year.
Right.
Yeah.
Just be adaptable. And
yeah.
Depending on. So now with we're hearing like some populations are down in some areas. We've seen some die-offs in Alaska, bad winters. Yukon, maybe numbers are down a bit. How are you guys looking in the territories for that?
This year we seen, at the start of the year when I showed up there, I was a little bit worried because you definitely could see that we had more snow or maybe a late spring. Because all of our sheep, when we first showed up there, 90% of the rams still had their winter hair on.
Right.
So you could definitely tell that they were affected from the winter. But our age average, we still averaged over 10 years old on our rams, and we were still killing rams that were 12 years old and stuff like that. So if there was a big effect, we haven't seen it yet. Sometimes it might be more in the lambs and stuff like that we would see it, but this year we did not see that effect yet where we are at.
Well, that's cool. I talked to one of the other outfitters here, and he was saying that some in his area, some of the older rams had died off a bit. Figured a really rough winter, and some of the, the younger rams, like the 7 year rams, they were okay because they weren't, they weren't breeding as much. They were fatter and they weathered the winter. But some of the old rams didn't make it. He was saying so. Good to hear that that's not the case for you guys. So.
Yeah, I feel like we really push hard to harvest rams that are over 10 years old, and once they're 10, their odds of surviving is a little bit less. And then over 11, you're going to have a few less every year, and over 12. And there was a big question during COVID of with us completely being out of the area. There was no hunting going on in the Mackenzie Mountains for that 2020 year. And so there was a big question of what were we going to see when we got back there? It was a whole bunch of excitement and stuff. But really, even that, we didn't see a true difference, really, because our age average of rams that we're killing is so old that I feel like a lot of those rams that we are harvesting during the season probably died off anyway when we were killing 13 or 14-year-old rams. Their chances of surviving the winter again are pretty low. So, we luckily are able to have that age average so high, but it's interesting to watch through the different seasons and the different snowfalls and all that, what it is doing for our population and taking a year off.
It's pretty cool, actually. It's a really strong argument for sustainability, and that we get beat up as hunters about oh, you guys you're killing all the sheep, and but most guide outfitters are so cognizant of that. And it's about sustainability. If you kill everything in your area, you're not going to do very well the next year, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's a true testament, right? You'd think after 2020, taking a year off, you'd see a huge difference, and to see really no difference. It's are we having that big impact on the landscape? And the answer probably is no, not that big a deal, right? So,
yeah.
Very cool. So hats off to you for managing it properly. Awesome. Well, cool. I just want to thank you for doing this, Glenda, and for all you do for the industry. And honestly, I know you said I look at myself as a guide outfitter. I don't look at myself as a woman, but you are an inspiration. I know there's probably a lot of young girls that look at you and go, wow, I want to be a Glenda Groat, and just appreciate what you're doing out there and what Canol's doing, and just it's an honor to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thank you.